already know the drill. We back again with another episode of Buckle Up with the Boys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So strap on your seatbelts, cause it's all pedal to the metal from here. And without further ado, your amazing host, Drew Philly.
Welcome back to another episode of Buckle Up with the Boys here with your host, DB, and host Trevor Dinsmore. How are we doing, Trevor?
Yeah, not too bad, buddy. The big guy's back tonight, so I am in good spirits. Hopefully it translates to a victory tonight against a very, very good Thunder team. So I'm keeping track of the game cast as we're going throughout that, so if you see me looking over this way, that's why.
Right on. No, but a lot of different news here coming in from the NFL world here. Hold on, I just got to mute this one damn thing. I apologize. From the NFL news side of things, also a lot of tragic things going on here. To start us off with the night, Rashee Rice, top rookie from last year, Trevor, for the Chiefs. He's in quite a shit show here with one of his vehicles potentially being involved in a multi-vehicle accident, and he left the scene. So what do you think is going to come out of this? Because he hasn't turned himself in, and the Dallas police are looking for him. So,
yeah, I don't know why it seems to be like a Texas thing where you just go out racing in a Lambo and have a good old time, and unfortunately, sometimes it ends up in these sorts of circumstances. I did read right before the show that he did lease that Lamborghini. That was not his. So that, there's some legal stuff on that side of things as well. I honestly, I did not read too much into this. I just kind of saw the headline that Rashee Rice was involved in this thing. And I always say it, you gotta have somewhat of a head on your shoulders, even if you are, an NFL, even if you are an NFL player. And even if, you had a great season last year and are a Super Bowl champion, you gotta have your wits about you. You can't be racing in the streets of Dallas at midnight, going however many miles an hour he was going. He definitely hit triple digits. I think it was around 130, 140 or something was reported. So, yeah, not a good situation, and of his own doing. So, I don't feel too much sympathy for him.
No, me either. And then the other guy, ex-Steeler here, Cameron Sutton, was arrested for domestic battery by strangulation. And he previously played for the Detroit Lions. I did not know he was released by the Lions, Trevor. I didn't look into further on that. Did they release him because of this, or was it just because his contract ran out?
I am honestly not sure. I know I was about to ask you the same question, honestly, because I knew he was released. I just kind of forgot the timing of it. I should have done a little bit of searching on that before I got on here. But again, another thing. Huh?
Because of the arrest. Because of the arrest.
It was because of the arrest. That's what I figured, because I knew he was still under contract for, I think, at least another year. And the Lions would have been wise to keep him because he actually had a pretty good season last year. He was a pretty good lockdown corner, unlike kind of what he was for the Steelers. He was decent, but he's not. I'll say this: he was better than Pat Pete. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
That's another conversation for another segment. But it's unfortunate seeing guys involved in stuff like this. Goes back to what I literally just said with Rashee Rice. You got to have a good head on your shoulders. And if you don't, sometimes shit like this happens, and you have no one to blame but the guy in the mirror. So whatever comes of this legally, obviously he's been released by the Lions, no longer an NFL player. He might be a quote unquote, and I say quote unquote because he's not really blackballed from the league for quite some time, if not, for the remainder of his football playing days. So unfortunate, but again, of his own doing, little to no remorse felt for this guy. I feel more remorse for the Lions because they now have to replace another member of their secondary. And they had Gardner Johnson, who was out for quite a bit of time last year. I believe he's still on their roster. So hopefully he can avoid some injury and the Lions are able to recover. Good news is kind of translates into what I'm going to be presenting on today with the NFL draft picks. Lions can go draft a cornerback if they really want to, and there's a lot of good ones available, which I'll be touching on later in the show.
Yes.
But unfortunate to see a former Steeler go down like that.
Right. No, it is what it is. And then there's other sad news that we'll touch on in a little bit. I just don't want to overload you with depressive things here in the first 5 minutes of the episode, folks. So the other thing here, Trevor, looked at 5 different teams that need to move up in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit before the show. Arizona Cardinals is number 1 on my list for that. And the reason is that, number 1, Jonathan Gannon, the head coach of the Cardinals, is not sold on Kyler Murray. And the other issue is that they have no goddamn weapons surrounding him. So do you see them moving up in the draft? Or I guess what position do they need to draft?
I thought they were set with Kyler Murray. I thought they were going to ride with him, and now word's coming out that they don't believe in him.
No.
I don't know. I think they got other things that they need to address. They got to address the receiving core. They got one of the weakest receiving cores in the NFL now. I think you got to go get Marvin.
Okay.
And if we approach the draft and if talks keep heating up that Marvin's going top 3, then yeah, absolutely. Arizona needs to move up. They need to go get him. They need weapons to surround Kyler with. They need speed on that offense.
Right.
I mean, other than at the quarterback position, we know Kyler can run for his life. He's not going to be able to do that forever, but we know Kyler can run for his life. They need receivers that are able to do the same and able to get open, create some big plays for that offense.
Right. No, I agree with you. And then Los Angeles Chargers, new regime coming in there with Jim Harbaugh. Do you see them moving up with all the moves that they've made in the offseason as well? And surround they still have weapons around Herbert. I know they got rid of Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, but do you see them having to move up because of the offseason decisions they've made already?
Similar to the Cardinals, unless they want to go get Marvin, probably not. Okay. I don't really think they need to. I think there's a lot of skilled guys that are going to be available at that 5 spot that are going to be valuable to your organization. I don't see them moving up. They have more holes. Obviously, the biggest glaring hole is at wide receiver, just because of who they lost, like you said, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. That's the biggest hole that they have right now coming off of last season. But they got a few other concerns that they need to address as well. They got to address the running back spot. Who's going to, now that Eckler's gone as well, do you draft a running back that high, or do you get more draft capital and even trade back? I could see that happening for the Chargers if they really wanted to, and if they just wanted to get more fresh bodies around Herbert, because they have an aging roster on defense as well with the likes of Bosa and with the likes of Max. So, I could see them even moving back if they really wanted to. But in all likelihood, I think they stay put. They get a really good skill position guy to fill an immediate need, and they get a day 1 starter at number 5 without moving outside or further inside the top 5.
Okay. And then the New England Patriots, a shit show right now at the quarterback position. You think they're okay staying at 3, or are they moving up? I do not think they're going to move up, but for whatever reason, they're on this list.
They're not moving up. They're not moving up. I think Drake May is going to fall to 3. Okay. I think it's going to go Caleb, Jaden, and then Drake May at 3. Okay. I think you see quarterbacks in the top 3 of the draft, which would enable then the Cardinals to take Marvin. Like I said, the only reason I see the Cardinals moving is if rumors are intensifying that Marvin's going top 3, and they feel the desperate need to go get him. I don't see them trading up for a quarterback necessarily, especially with Kyler's contract being the way it is right now. It's not cheap. So,
okay.
No, Pats, I don't see them moving either. I think they'll get Drake May.
Okay. And then this is a spicy one for you. New York Giants. So they have the 6th pick. There's a whole bunch of rumors coming out. They're very interested in J.J. McCarthy. Does he fall to number 6, or are they going to have to move up if they're trying to work a deal out with him?
He's not going to have to move.
Okay.
They're not going to have to move. McCarthy's going to fall to 6. I can assure you that.
Okay.
I mean, I know people are high on JJ McCarthy. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I see it. I really don't. Like, I know he has it up here. That's for sure. He has it up here. He has the football IQ, but to me, and I know he had a good pro day. He had a good draft combine, but
yep.
To me, I just don't know if he fits the NFL game very well. He doesn't have a big arm. A lot of short dink and dunk type of throws where he's relying on other guys to make plays. Not to mention, he wasn't a world beater at Michigan either. He wasn't thrown to, big time wide receivers or big time tight ends or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what people see in JJ McCarthy. I think they see Zach Wilson like traits. Zach Wilson out of BYU. Honestly, if I best comp that I could give you right now, my opinion, JJ McCarthy is Zach Wilson on steroids.
Oh boy.
That's that. And I mean that in a good way. He has obviously, he has the complexity and the complexion of Zach Wilson. And I think he has a similar skill set. It's just a little bit more polished because of his coaching and because of the people that he surrounded himself with at Michigan.
Okay.
Maybe that's why he's going high. Rumored to go easily in the top 10. Hell, there's rumors that, 1 through 4 are going to be quarterbacks and McCarthy's going to go to either to the Cardinals or the Pats are going to trade back and get him. All kinds of stuff floating around with that. I don't see why you'd take McCarthy at 6. To me, he's not even like a top 15 guy. I would trust a Penix over a McCarthy, but that's just me. I've talked ad nauseum about that plenty to friends and probably on this program before too, but I don't see what the Giants and what others see in McCarthy.
Right. No, and then round out the 5 list here of teams, Tennessee Titans. So, Trevor, here's a very interesting take, and I know we touched on some of their free agency. Calvin Ridley was assigned, Tony Pollard, Sneed. I always fuck up his first name. Sneed.
L'Jarius Sneed,
Yep. And then Mason Rudolph. But they don't have any picks between 38 or 106 this year. So do you see them making any moves in regards to any picks? I guess I kind of leaves me out in the open. There's missing pieces that they need. I don't know what the hell they're going to do though with that situation.
Yeah, they have a lot of pieces. They could honestly use a body at all 3 levels of the defense, or they could use an offensive lineman of some sort, whether it's guard, center, whatever. They could use it.
Okay.
They might move back. I don't know, and I think they might move back, and the Vikings might trade up.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I think that might happen. I don't know how much faith there is in Sam Darnold as a full-time starting quarterback.
Right.
I don't know what O'Connell is thinking. I don't know what that room is thinking. I don't know what that GM is thinking. And they might be thinking, let's move up to the 7 spot because in all likelihood, McCarthy's going to be there. If McCarthy's there after the 6th pick, I'll bet you, well, not any amount of money. I'll bet you a good amount of money that the Vikings are going to immediately move up into that 7th spot and take McCarthy.
Okay.
I could very well see that happening. I think he fits Kevin O'Connell's offense decently well. I think they could develop his arm, or at least I think that they think they could do that. But
now, and bringing up the Vikings, just a question for you. I don't know what draft pick he was last year or what round. Jaron Hall, is he even going to ever get a shot at that starting position, or do you think he's just
he was a day, I think he was like a late day 2, early day 3 type of a guy. Wasn't very highly touted coming out of college.
Right.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. He's
I don't
like
think
the one
so.
guy.
In today's NFL, and Rich Eisen and the people on his program had a really good conversation about this. In today's NFL, you better have some semblance of success within your first 2 years as a quarterback.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
exceptions to this. Daniel Jones is still technically the starting quarterback for the Giants. Let's not kid ourselves.
Jesus.
But you got to start showing flashes a lot sooner in the NFL. It's a results-based league, and there's not a whole lot of patience anymore, just as there is with head coaches at the most, arguably the most important position on the entire staff of the organization, and just as there is at the most important position on the field at the quarterback spot. And Jaren Hall didn't really show a whole lot of flash last year.
No.
He didn't show us a whole lot that we could trust him as a full-time starter. We were patient enough with Kenny for 2 years, and even then the Steelers and Omar Khan, they were like, nope, get out.
Right.
2 years, you didn't show us anything. Goodbye.
Yeah.
Goodbye. And that's there's a lot of prongs as to why that is, but the biggest thing is money. These quarterbacks are becoming ultra expensive at the top end. Your Justin Herberts, your Patrick Mahomes, your Kirk Cousins.
Yep.
They are becoming ultra Russell Wilson too. Let's take him for a second.
Well,
yeah, you pay him oodles of money. They're paying him $38 million or $39 million of his salary this year to play for the Steelers.
That's right.
You pay him oodles of money. I'll never get over this. He's literally not going to play a single snap of his extension. That is hilarious.
Yes.
But you invest all this money into these quarterbacks, and like Russell Wilson, it might not work out. It might not work out.
Right.
But, you got your Brock Purdy's of the world stepping up, making Super Bowls. Brock Purdy made about as much in incentive money as he did his NFL salary this past season. I think he made around $860,000 in salary, made around $760,000, $770,000 in incentives.
Right.
It's the same kind of deal with the running back position. If you can get excellent value for rookie deals, teams are going to be a little bit shorter with you. That's just how it is. That's just how it is. And if a CJ Stroud keeps playing like he's playing, that's going to incentivize this more and more. This short leash that a lot of teams have on their quarterbacks. It's a tough situation. It's a tough situation, and that's why I think the Vikings they don't trust Jaren Hall. I think they're going to try and go get somebody that has a high ceiling because they're an organization in a bit of flux right now. They're in a weird spot. They're not fully rebuilding, but they're not contending either, especially without Cousins. Jefferson's still on the roster, and as long as he's on the roster, people are going to be attracted to him, especially in fantasy.
Right.
And the Vikings are going to, maintain a good offense. We've addressed the concerns on the defensive side, but I think they're thinking quarterback in the first round.
Okay.
And if that means moving up, even trading with the Giants might trade back and get more picks.
Damn. It might be an exciting night.
It's going to be an exciting night. Somebody's going to move. I have a feeling somebody's going to move. And it's not going to be someone that we think.
Okay.
And I think most people aren't really picking the Vikings to move. I think they're going to move. They're going to move into the top 10. They're going to go get McCarthy if he's still sitting there at 6 or 7.
Okay. Yeah. No, you and Nate have been spot on with your predictions. Again, if you're new to the show, the Success Alliance had Trevor called in the fucking preseason. So everything that he says now, I expect to see happen. So I just want to say,
don't lower the expectations, bud. Lower the expectations. I appreciate you blowing. No. I appreciate you blowing smoke up my ass, but I am wrong a lot more than I am right. I just happen to be right about the Lions. I had a good hunch on that one.
Yeah. But
I had a good hunch on that one. I honestly, Laporta, me being right about Laporta, was a bit of a long shot. Typically, rookie tight ends don't do nearly as well as he did, but I just trust Iowa tight ends more than anything else. Pretty much any other position coming out of college. So,
yeah. But and then just final news here, sad news. I want to keep going after headline with the depressing news. I don't think that's
that wouldn't make for a very good show.
No, but I do have to say our condolences from our from the Buckle Up with the Boys sports podcast here. Vontae Davis's family. He played 10 seasons before retiring in 2018. He played for the Dolphins, the Colts, and the Buffalo Bills, and he was only 35. And we don't have a cause of death yet, Trevor, but there was no foul play, the police say.
Yeah, latest article I saw was posted about 7 hours ago, and I forget which site I saw it on. Still no cause of death formally being released. I just know that I believe local and state police are still investigating that. Unfortunate death. And I know I can't nearly give as glowing of a tribute as Darius Butler and Pat McAfee did on their show. I believe it was either today or yesterday. If you haven't watched that, go watch that. It's very touching. Both guys that played with Vontae Davis for a long time and can much more attest to how good of a person he was, how good of a player he was, and how good of a man he was. So deepest condolences to Vontae Davis, to his family, and to those that called him a teammate, friend, colleague. It's unfortunate. 35 years old, too. That's gives me the heebie-jeebies. I can tell you that. I'm closer to 30 than I am 20, and that means I'm closer to 35 than I am 10. So,
kind of whenever there's a young death, it kind of hits a little different, and a very impactful player too. I cannot say that enough. I mean, he did go to 3 different teams, but he was hell of a secondary. If you want to look up his career highlights, he did, on the Colts. Well, Darius was his teammate at the Colts. I even forgot about that. So, and
obviously McAfee had the connection with the Colts. So, it
was a very good tribute. But that's all I had for now, Trevor. Switch over to whatever you want to talk about tonight.
I can dive into the draft picks. I really had no other, not a whole lot of news this week.
That's weird.
Just kind of, a lot of rumors just swirling around about the draft. And like we just touched on the unfortunate deaths and, lawlessness and all that stuff. Hopefully I can get people in a little bit better of a mood talking about this very stacked draft class of cornerbacks. Now, I will lead with the caveat. There's probably not a Sauce Gardner in this draft. There's probably not a Deion Sanders in this draft, but there's a lot of good guys that could fill in holes where needed on an NFL roster. So, there we go. Dinzy's draft picks. I love it.
Yes.
So in this week's edition of Dinzy's Draft Dissertation, be covering a whopping 20 quarterbacks for y'all. Cornerbacks. I think I said quarterbacks. Cornerbacks. And bear in mind, this isn't even half of them. There was about 46 listed on ESPN's draft board that could potentially be drafted on either day 1, day 2, or day 3. So bear in mind, I'm in a way only covering the tip of the iceberg in relation to this position here. A very deep position, like I've alluded to, but not quite as top heavy, I would say, as a lot of other positions in this year's draft. So anyway, the most highly touted prospect coming out of this year's draft, actually out of Toledo, Deontay Johnson's alma mater, Toledo Rockets.
Yep.
Kenyon Mitchell, first ranked at his position, 10th ranked overall. Got a draft grade of 92, stands at 6 feet tall, 195, so an ideal frame for a corner right there for you. And I added a new metric to my analysis this week called Prospect Grade, and this is via NFL.com and their draft site, so go check that out. And I want to explain the scale here real quick to everybody. So it's a scale up to 8 being like gold star Deion Sanders of the world, your Patty Mahomeses of the world. If Patty Mahomes was analyzed correctly, I believe he was more like a 7 coming out of this. But anyway, that's the ideal prospect. If you go from like a 7 to a 7.5, you're talking all pros, Pro Bowlers. If you go from a 6.5 to a 6.9, you're talking boom bust guys and potential starters. 6.3 to about 6.5 could become good starters. And then on down, you got your average starters at the 6.2 to the 6.3 spot. Then at 6.1, you're talking backups. Same thing at the 6.0 to 6.1 spot, and then 5.99 on down. You're talking backups, special teamers, and guys that could be out of the league before their pension even kicks in.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. So bear in mind that scale. There's no one above a 6.49 in this year's draft at the cornerback spot. So like I said, not a very top-heavy position, but a position with a lot of depth and a lot of guys that can fill holes where needed. But anyway, back to this Kenyon Mitchell. Got a 6.47 prospect grade. So that would put him, 6.47 would be a good starter within a couple years. That's what he's going to be. So ran a 4.33 40. Bench press 20 reps at 225, 38-inch vertical, 10 feet 2 inches on the broad jump. And then a 1.51 10-second split on that 40 time. Like I mentioned before, has the ideal body and frame of an NFL corner. Very nimble feet and very good lateral direction skills. Wraps the legs and run support, so he's able to, bear down where necessary on the outside edges. And he has very good closing speed against deep routes. So against in zone coverage against medium to deep routes. So very good for him there. A couple knocks on him. Needs to improve on the man coverage a little bit. Needs to have a little bit better of a feel for the game in that respect. The hand fighting, the chucking, all of that needs to kind of be developed a little bit. Not saying he's bad at it, but needs to be developed to an NFL posture. I would just say that much. Needs to work on having balanced vision between the quarterback and the route. Tends to focus on one or the other too much, which can, lead to some big plays down the field. And then he's, despite his frame, he has shown us weaknesses against bigger downfield targets like your George Pickens of the world. Tends to struggle against those guys. At least he did in college, and hopefully that doesn't translate to the pro game. A good player comp for him that I saw, a guy by the name, and this is a name we know very well, Steven Nelson, who's still currently a free agent. So I believe he last played for the Cardinals, if I'm not mistaken. I know he was a Steeler for a time there. But yeah, think Steven Nelson when you're thinking Kenyon Mitchell, potentially with a higher ceiling, though. And like I said, projected to go potentially in the top 10, more likely to top 15 or 20. So, and he's just been going up draft boards, too. Had a good pro day, had a good combine. So hopefully we're able to see a non-Power 5 prospect get drafted in the first round. It's pretty rare that that'll happen. So I'd like to see that happen. Another guy I want to talk about out of Alabama, Terrion Arnold. And yes, there's going to be a few guys from the SEC. There's going to be guys from the Big Ten on this list. There is at every position. Those are the factories, okay? Mm-hmm. Anyway, Terrion Arnold out of Alabama, second ranked at the position, 13th overall, also received a draft grade of 92. Similar frame to Kenyon Mitchell, 6 feet, 189. Got a 6.49 prospect grade, so pretty similar to Kenyon Mitchell. Ran a 4.5 40, 37 inches on the vertical, 10 feet 9 inches on the broad jump, and a 1.54 10-second split on that 40 time. And what separates Arnold from Mitchell is aggression and motor. Arnold has a little bit more of a competitive fire to him, a little bit more aggressive, especially in the run support. And despite his size, a very high motor type of a guy, very high energy, can stay on the field pretty much for every play if you ask him to do so. He has a natural feel for angles to the ball too, which I think is a little bit more important for safeties, but is in a lot of respects very important for the cornerback position as well. You need to take the right angles to the ball. That's just the nature of the game on defense now. So. Just as well, he's a very urgent ball challenger at what I call the moment of truth, or some people call it point of arrival when the ball's arriving. Very aggressive to the ball. And like I said before, very good in run support, able to get through blocks with relative ease by cornerback standards, and is able to support the run game on the outside edges there. Okay. Where he needs to develop some skills is in the mental aspect. Needs to work on the play recognition a little bit. Sometimes lacks a good first step because of the lack of play recognition. And he needs to work on jump ball. The vertical wasn't as ideal as you would like for a good corner. Well, he is aggressive at the point of attack, or at the moment of truth when the ball's arriving. Needs to work on, the verticality of it. And in that respect, he does struggle as well against bigger receivers down the field. So, requires a little bit of safety help. But that's okay. And another kind of weakness, I guess you could say this, tends to give a little bit too much cushion in man coverage and is unable to close a lot of the times, gives up a lot of the short stuff, a lot of the chunk, little dink and dunk type of 7-8 yard plays that can just keep moving chains and moving chains and moving chains. Needs to work on that in the appropriate situations. And a good player comp for this guy by the name of Marshawn Lattimore from the Saints, if you know of him. Number 23, I believe. Number 23. Next guy is a prospect a lot of NFL execs, a lot of NFL scouts are very excited about. Pure athlete, Nate Wiggins out of Clemson. Third ranked at the position. Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, I have two. My Irish played him last year, and let's just say I heard the name Nate Wiggins a couple times come through on the telecast, so I was not very pleased. But anyway, Mr. Wiggins, 21st ranked overall as a prospect, received a draft grade of 90, stands at 6'1", 173, so a little bit slimmer, but, slightly taller than the previous two guys. Received a prospect grade of 6.43, so pretty similar to Arnold and Mitchell. Could be a good starter within a couple years with some development. And like I said, this guy, natural athlete, ran a 4.28 40, very fast. Keep in mind the record's a 4.21 now, so 0.7 of a second off. 36-inch vertical, 10 feet 7 inches on the broad jump, then a 1.59 second split on that 40 time. And he was described in his NFL draft bio as a defensive coordinator's dream with his length and his recovery speed, especially in zone coverage. So very, very ideal if you're an aggressive DC. So described as having silky smooth lower body movement. Yeah, I literally, I'm not paraphrasing that. That's straight from NFL.com. That's what scouts and execs are saying. Silky smooth. I mean, if you asked me 15 years ago, you want me to describe an NFL player's movement as silky smooth, I don't know how good of a prospect he would be. But in today's game, you kind of want that. And unlike Mr. Arnold from Alabama, has very good play recognition and is able to high point the ball with the best of them at the collegiate level. That needs to develop, obviously, at the pro level, but, he shows signs of being able to do that. And just as well, he's very attractive in his versatility. Got a couple pick sixes in this past year, and he actually blocked a field goal, so he can work on special teams too. So, and much like Arnold on the weaknesses side of things, tends to give a little bit of cushion on man coverage, leads to a lot of the underneath stuff, little dink and dunk plays, move the chains, keep teams on schedule. And a lot of times he will face guard deep balls rather than playing the ball. He plays the man. And then, he waits for the cues from the receiver, the hands, the head, all of that to react to the ball, which any good receiver, and we've seen Deontay Johnson do this, don't show your hands too early. If you do, then guy's going to be able to defend it if he's face guarding you. So if you're going up against Nate Wiggins, you better not show your hands too early, because he tends to pounce on that somewhat to his detriment, though, as some scouts have said. So, and needs to work on the physicality in the run support and shedding blocks as well. Basically, he's a pure zone cover corner. Needs to work on, like I said, the man coverage. Needs to work on the fundamentals a little bit and not completely face guarding. So then a good comp for him, he was described as a better physical talent or a more physical Devin Witherspoon, if that makes sense.
Ooh, okay. I like that comparison.
So, oh yeah. He's not the only one that's compared to Devin Witherspoon in this class. I'll just say that much. A lot of nimble guys, a lot of guys that could work on the physicality, but still, like I said, they have like the hand fighting skills, things of that nature.
Right.
But not that great in run support. A lot of pure cover guys in this year's class, which is totally fine. And then this is a guy that I really want to talk about, mainly because, and this is the only time I will invoke this card on this program, hopefully. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. And we know the thing that's unique about him. He's white.
Yes.
He's a white corner. Coming out as the 4th-ranked prospect at cornerback.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, there was the jokes thrown around about Cooper DeJean being on the all-white team when that whole business was circulating through social media. And no, we all remember. But there is a good reason for it.
Yes.
Anyway, Cooper DeJean, 4th ranked at his position, 26th overall. Also got a draft grade of 90 like Wiggins. 6'1", 203, so a little bit more beefier than Wiggins, but similar, I would say similar frame, but just more muscle. Received a prospect grade of 6.34, so a little bit lower than the first 3 prospects, but still could develop into a decent starter with a couple years of development at the pro level. Something nice about him, he actually has pretty good versatility. He has experience at both the cornerback and the safety spots while at Iowa, and kind of played those positions interchangeably. Preferred corner, but still can play a little safety when we need to throw him in there. It's not quite as forced as, say, the Steelers throwing Pat Pete at safety last year because of injury. You can actually interchange the guy if you want different sets on defense. So that's a good quality for him. Described as an explosive athlete with a solid frame, and he has receiver-like ball skills. So good hands, able to high point it if he needs to, and is able to quickly close on the ball whenever the ball's coming his receiver's way. And I'll just say this. He was one of the best cornerbacks, if not, well, probably the best cornerback in all of the Big Ten last year. Even though he wasn't particularly challenged against a lot of good passing offenses, he still showed out, and there's, we see the results. He's the 4th-ranked prospect, could go in the first round. More likely a day 2 guy just because of the positions that are going to be drafted in the first round, but could still, go in the first round if the team decides to take a chance on him. Then a good comp for him, Christian Gonzalez. Guy, Christian Gonzalez off the Patriots. We know him. I had good success with him in Madden 24. I will just say that much. Back when the competitive overalls were around 84, 85, I could get away with having a Christian Gonzalez on my team and having a lot of success there. So, hopefully, we see similar results for Mr. DeJean. And, I'm hoping that Cooper DeJean and Bijan Robinson are able to team up and, make their own mustard. Yeah. I know Bijan already has his own. Maybe DeJean can make his own mustard, or, like I said, he can team up with Bijan and they can sell condiments together. I think that would be very good. Yeah. I've not had Bijan's mustard yet. It's a little on the pricey side, just because, where they sell it's a little bit more difficult to ship it up to Pittsburgh, but, it is what it is. Hopefully Cooper DeJean gets drafted to somewhere close to the area. That way I can try some of his mustard should he choose to go that route with his sponsorships. Okay. But another guy out of Alabama, excuse me. Give me 1 second. I'm starting to knock the words out of my mouth. Give me 1 second here.
Yeah.
Very good. There we go. We're good now. And a guy I've talked very highly of is potential Steelers draft pick, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Ooh. Yeah, this guy. Guy, and I know this guy very well. 6th ranked at his position. He actually fell down draft boards a little bit. Now 32nd overall. For whatever reason, fell down some draft boards. I wasn't able to really find anything on why.
Right.
Maybe it's just other guys flowing up draft boards. But anyway, received a draft grade of 87. Stands at 6 feet tall, 199, so ideal frame for a cornerback there. And had a prospect grade of 6.4, so slightly above Mr. Cooper DeJean there. Did not participate in the combine, and unfortunately, I was unable to track down his pro day performance. So here we go. Anyway, while at Alabama, showed a very high football IQ, and he was a very good facilitator on defense and a very good communicator on defense. And I would expect that out of a prospect from Nick Saban's camp. Reads receivers' eyes very well, and he's very poised and patient with deep routes. And just as well, shows a lot of versatility in the punt return game. So a lot of teams could use a cover corner and a punt returner. This guy is your guy. If you're, fringe day 2 pick, yeah, this guy would be an ideal pick for you. So some of the knocks on him, though. He's more of a short area burst guy than a full field speed guy, unable to sustain his acceleration, which, if he gets out of position, it could prove to be disastrous. Not good in the run support, tends to take plays off if he's not directly targeted, but still has the football IQ, and you just need to develop the effort out of him a little bit. Good player comp for him, actually a couple. A.J. Terrell from the Falcons, as well as Trent McDuffie, guy you might be more familiar with.
Ooh,
So, yeah. So a little bit less polished than those particular individuals, but a similar skill set and frame. And here we go with another SEC guy. I know, talking about a guy out of Georgia, Kamari Lassiter out of Georgia. 7th ranked at the position, 46th overall. I got a draft grade of 85. Stands at 6 feet, 186, so a slightly less beefy frame than Kool-Aid McKinstry, and received a prospect grade of 6.3. Also did not participate in the combine, but while at Georgia showed very good play recognition and awareness, much improved from 2022 to 2023. Very good in press coverage, especially with his footwork and his hand fighting. And, and he tends not to draw flags while he's hand fighting too, which is very important in today's game because, referees will throw a flag if you breathe on a guy wrong. So, yeah.
Achoo.
I know.
15 yards.
Yeah. Thankfully, I don't think Kamari Lassiter is going to sneeze in the middle of his coverage. So
No.
And this is a weird phrasing, and I'm exactly quoting what the NFL.com draft site said here. Described as belligerent at the catch point. Belligerent. Now, when I think belligerent, I think of me and you on PlayStation later tonight.
Right.
I don't think of a guy on a football field being able to cover receivers and break to the ball. But, if you're described as that, if you're using belligerent in that context, must be for good reason. I'll just say that.
Right.
Couple of knocks on him, though. More of a route guarder than a playmaker per se. So not going to make all the flashy plays, but will make the fundamental plays for you. And he tends to lose outside leverage when he cheats inside to the hash marks. So occasionally receivers will get a step on him to the outside. He can throw fade routes and stuff like that against him. Needs to, work on that, get a little more polished in his initial positioning on the line. And another guy that you could compare to Devin Witherspoon.
Oh, one thing, because I just want to give you a break because you've been talking.
I'm going to talk some more. I'm not even halfway done, but
I know. I just to give you a little, I guess, well, it's asking you a question too, but for the viewers out there that aren't familiar with the whole, which I think this is the hardest position in the game.
Oh yeah! Oh my God! Yeah.
A lot of moving parts, a lot of fucking. You got to read the audibles, watch. Watch.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Why not taller? Why? Because we're seeing. I think the viewers out there to this point, they're like 6 foot, 6'1", 5'11", somewhere around there. Do we? I never actually knew why we don't see like a 6'3", 6'4" cornerback. Is it because of the speed they need, and there's more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speed and anticipation is more valued than height.
Okay.
Yeah, as we'll see with a couple of prospects going down the line here, I got a couple guys that are, a little bit on the taller side, 6'3", 6'4". Those guys tend to be more fundamentally sound, but have less of a burst.
Okay. They need the
And
twitch.
you need that. You need that. You need that to cover guys off the line because I don't know, it's tough. Like you said, it's the toughest position in the game. It's the toughest position in the game. You got to have good anticipation and speed. It's very difficult, especially in today's game where you can't touch guys for the first 5. You can only touch guys for the first 5 of the route, and then you're left to your own devices, whether you're in man coverage or in zone.
Right.
Speed is a lot more valued at the cornerback position than height. Now, where you do see a lot of height is with your ball hawking safeties. You see more guys that are 6'3", 6'4", that tend to drop back in like quarters coverage and deep coverage, stuff like cover 2. They're the deep coverage on the cover 2, safety help as it's called.
Right.
That's where you tend to see the tall guys, and that's why you see a lot of double teams on downfield routes, especially against those tall guys. That's why you're going to see Pickens get a lot of double teams his way.
Yeah.
That's why you saw even you couldn't even double team Megatron, but that's why you saw a lot of safeties trying their damnedest to cover Megatron.
Right.
That's where your height comes into play.
Gotcha. Yeah. No, it was just I've always wondered that, and I know people are probably saying, well, why? We got a 6'5", or I think Pickens is what, 6'3", 6'4", I want to say somewhere around there.
6'3", 6'4", somewhere in that neighborhood.
So you got a freak like that. Why don't you just draft the same height as him? Well, now we know why. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. And here's the thing, too. Receivers always get the first move, right? And cornerbacks got to be able to react to that.
Mm-hmm.
The offense controls the snap. They control the snap count. They control when things start. So receivers usually going to get the first move. You got to be able to recover, and you got to be able to close.
Yep.
Especially in today's NFL where you can't really touch the guy downfield.
Well, and that's the whole another fucking can of worms.
No, I know. That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole other conversation for another time. We're not here to discuss that. We're here to discuss quarterback draft prospects.
Yep. Sorry, Trevor. But thank you for that side. Yes.
Yeah, no worries. No worries. And if you ask Nate, you might get a little bit different of an answer, but I would think it would be something along those lines. Yeah. It's speed. Speed kills, man. Speed kills.
Yep.
Running on down the line here, a little bit less common of a school to see good draft prospects come out of. Max Melton out of Rutgers. Rutgers had a pretty good season last year and won their bowl game too. So, good on that program. Maybe they're making a nice little comeback, although Big Ten's about to get a lot more competitive. So we'll see. Yeah. Anyway, Max Melton, 9th ranked at his position, 59th overall, received a draft grade of 82. And here's an even shorter guy than the other prospects that I've discussed today, 5'11", 187. Speed, Drew. Speed. Received a prospect grade of a 6.24, so slightly under Mr. Kamari Lassiter from before. Ran a 4.39 40. Had a vertical of 40.5 inches. So this is another reason why you see a lot of these shorter guys. They can still jump. They can still high point. You don't need to be 6'3" to high point.
Right.
Well, you need to be 6'3" to high point higher than the opponent, but when you got a 40.5 inch vertical, that's pretty damn good. You're making up a good bit of ground in the vertical column. I will say that much.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on. 11 feet 4 inches on the broad jump, and then a 1.51 10-second split on that 40 time. And some of this guy's strengths. He was very consistent, and he's displayed constant improvement every year while he was at Rutgers. So, we like to see that. Hopefully that translates well into being able to develop under a pro system. He can play inside and outside corner very well, can play the slot, and can play the boundary. And he's very good in press coverage. Very good ball skills and instincts, and he's very aggressive in run support. So a very versatile guy to have on your roster. Not a world beater, but a very versatile guy that you can kind of plug and play wherever you need him. Some of his weaknesses, though, he can get beat He can get beat on the goal line. You know, you tend to throw it up to big guys on the goal line. This is kind of goes. And he's reliant more so on reading receivers' eyes than playing the ball. You know, much like I believe I talked about prospect before. Who was that? That was the big. It was the big face guarder. Right? It might have been McKinstry.
Yeah,
More of a face guarder than a ball player, McKinstry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I even have it up on my notes. I can't even read, buddy.
It's okay, buddy.
But, yeah, it is. That's why I'm doing this podcast. I can't read. I can talk, but I can read. I can't read, but I can talk. I can't even talk. I don't know why I'm here.
No, you do a good job. Oh, yeah.
No. I'm covering a lot of material in a very short amount of time. I'm trying. Yeah. But anyway, good comparison to this guy, a guy that's actually on the Steelers right now, a bit of a depth corner, Dante Jackson.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with his work, but I know he's more of a depth guy than anything else. So that's kind of where Max Belton figures to play out. Next guy I want to talk about, Cam Hart out of Notre Dame. I always got to talk about a Notre Damer or a Penn Stater or both. Don't worry, I got a Penn Stater later on. Cam Hart, 10th ranked at his position, 62nd overall, received a draft grade of 81. And here's your tall guy, Drew, 6'3", 202.
All right, here we go. All right.
Yeah, tall. Only received a prospect grade of a 6.16, though, so potentially fringe starter throughout his career / backup.
Okay.
Ran a 4.5 40, did 11 reps on the bench press, a 39.5-inch vertical, though. So, you know, if he's able to keep up with receivers, he's able to high point very well. But as we'll see here in a second, that's kind of where he tends to struggle. 10 feet, 10 inches on the broad jump, 7.12 seconds on the 3-cone, and on a 20-yard shuttle, 4.24 seconds. And a 1.57 split on that 40 time. So this guy, pure athlete, can, run, can jump, can do whatever, all the athletic things with the best of them. He even played well against Marvin Harrison Jr. in the Ohio State game.
Well, there you go.
I believe he held him to, I think it was like 4 or 5 catches, which against Marvin Harrison, not bad. Not bad at all. He is good at mirroring receivers on the line, mirroring their movements, so he's able to adjust to what the receiver is doing off the snap, and he's able to get in position and potentially shut him down. And just like a couple prospects before him, very good physically without drawing flags. He can hand fight without drawing flags. That is huge in today's game. Like I said, if you breathe on a guy wrong, you're going to get that's right, flag thrown on you. But despite all of his athletic skills and his natural talent, did not have a whole lot of production while at Notre Dame, comparison to some of his peers. Needs to work on his instincts too, which I don't know how well you can teach instincts, but those need to be developed and adapted to the pro game. And he's very inconsistent finding the ball on deeper throws, and that is due in part to his inability to keep up with them with speed. So he can cover the tall guys, but you throw a speedy guy on him, it's a little bit tougher. Not only that, had surgeries on both his left and right shoulders while in college, so that might be a concern. His durability might be in question. Then a good comp for this guy by the name of Benjamin St. Juste for the Commanders. He's also on the tall side and tends to have, he's a good athlete, not a whole lot of production.
Okay.
That's just how it's for him. Then I haven't talked about Pitt guys yet. Believe it or not, I'm not a huge Pitt guy. But I'm going to talk about one right now, a guy by the name of M.J. Devonshire. I love that name, Devonshire. Sounds like a medieval knight, Devonshire. But, yeah. Anyway, unfortunately, this guy been falling down draft boards a little bit, projected to be a fringe day 2, day 3 type of a guy. 11th ranked at his position, 79th overall. Received a draft grade of a 78, 5'11", 186, so a very similar frame to a Max Melton from before. Only got a prospect grade of 6.1, so even below Cam Hart's ceiling there. Ran a 4.45 40, 38.5 inches on the vertical and 10 feet 4 inches on the broad jump, and a 1.54 10-second split on that 40 time. what is good with him, he's a good nickel corner, but that's kind of his niche. That's just, at least, that's what I've seen from his game film. He's good in nickel, but other than that, you ask him to go cover guys, it's a little bit more challenging for him. Does have, good length, able to shuck guys pretty well, and did have good collegiate production, albeit against some weak competition. And just as well, decent in zone coverage, has a good ability to track the quarterback's eyes where he's going with the ball. But on the flip side, not very good with his closing speed, and he lacks aggression and technique as a run supporter. Not a very high motor guy, not a very high effort guy. Just as well, his size can come into play against a bigger targets. So, and if you remember a guy by the name of William Gay, Drew, played for the Steelers for a while. That's the closest comp I found to Mr. Devonshire here. I'll try and run through the rest of these fairly quickly because these are all, day 2, day 3 type of guys, but we'll see what I can do here. Andrew Phillips out of Kentucky, 13th ranked at his position, 99th overall, got a draft grade of 73. A similar frame to Devonshire, 5'11", 190. Did receive a bit higher of a prospect grade at 6.22. Ran a 4.48 40, 42 inches on the vertical. Boy can jump. Boy can jump, I can tell you that. 11 feet 3 inches on the broad jump, and then a 1.51 10-second split on the 40 time. Described as having great athleticism and man coverage and a very balanced back pedal while still being able to maintain strides with receivers and being able to track where a receiver is going, even in his back pedal, which is very key, very key. So just as well, he also has a mindset of a safety in run support. So he's very assertive, very aggressive, and is able to fill in gaps where necessary. Does have some undeveloped tools to take away pass catching opportunities, but he's described as showing promise in that area. Very coachable in that sense, I would say. Some knocks on him, though. He only really has 2 years of in-game experience at the college level, and didn't play a whole lot of high school ball either. I believe he was only a 3-star, 2 or 3-star coming out of high school, so that's just kind of how it goes for him. Lacks anticipation of play well in zone coverage, and like I said, very much a niche corner that needs the right system. So he's not much of a plug-and-play guy, but you find him in the right system, he could do just fine for you. Good player comp for him, guy by the name of Jack Jones for the Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then a prospect I was kind of intrigued with, later round type of a fella, Kalen Carson out of Wake Forest. And again, another school you don't see a ton of high-end prospects out of. And by no means is Kalen Carson high-end, but I think he has some potential. He's 15th ranked at his position, 103rd overall. Got a draft grade of 73, similar to Mr. Phillips. Stands at 6 feet tall, 199, so slightly bigger frame than Phillips. And received, like Phillips, a 6.22 prospect grade. Did not participate in the combine, but, while at Kentucky displayed adequate size and NFL play strength. Also, very smooth footwork on the stop and start routes. And he's very quick to diagnose combination routes while in zone coverage. And he's also very good at pursuit to the ball carrier as well as 50-50 balls. He plays those very well. Some of the knocks on him, though, missed a lot of time during the 2021 and 2022 seasons due to a combination of injuries, average plant and go acceleration, and not very good with the angles of things, especially of all things, hitch routes and slant routes. Tends to take poor angles to those, and those can lead to more yak yards, obviously, for receivers.
Yeah.
And as I've said to a couple of other these prospects' detriment, more of a face guarder than a ball hawk. Tends to face guard more so than watching the ball, which you need a good balance of that. And I'd rather have you face guard a little bit more than ball hawking per se, because then you lose track of the receiver. And I'd rather have it that way than the other way around, but still you kind of need to strike a balance between those two as a corner.
Do you find it concerning, though, Trevor, that they're more face guarded heavy. Like it's very interesting. I know we didn't dissect the draft last year, but you know what I mean?
Sure,
Like
yeah.
there's not really any guy that he's kind of could do both. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
It's interesting. It's interesting.
It's a concern for a good bit of corners in this year's class, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure why that is. I know obviously it's a great concern because you don't want to take your eyes off the receiver because Lord knows if he hits a combo route, then all of a sudden he's by you. Well, I kind of describe more of a quarterback watcher in that sense. More of a face guarder, you're sticking with the receiver, but you don't know where the ball is, where the ball's coming in at. And if you got a good quarterback, you got a Patty Mahomes or Justin Herbert throwing to you, they know how to place the ball very well. Yeah. You can struggle. Especially against the pro level receivers. It can be tough, but again, it's a tough skill set to master. Like you said, toughest position in the game, and I'd rather have it this way. Because then you're not giving up those huge chunk plays. You're not letting receivers get away on yak yards. At the very least, you're limiting them to where they're catching the ball at. So,
right.
Like I said though, you got to strike a balance. It's very tough, and this was a very tough position to analyze too, because you got a lot of guys that are niche. You got a lot of guys that you can kind of plug and play. It all depends on the team that's drafting them. That's with any player, really, but especially at the corner position. Got a few more guys I want to cover here, and I'll try and run through these so I get through my 20 and I don't take up too much time. But anyway, next guy I want to talk about, Elijah Jones out of Boston College, a 16th ranked at his spot, 108th overall, got a draft grade of 71, stands at 6'2", so a little bit taller of a guy that you like, apparently.
Yeah.
And weighing in at 185, got a 6.23 prospect grade, ran a 4.44 40, 42 and a half inches on the vertical. Very nice. Very nice. 10 feet, 11 inches on the broad jump, and then a 1.54 split, a 10-second split on that 40 time. So similar to Cam Hart from earlier, uses his height to shut down those 50-50 balls, is able to high point with the best of them if he can stay with receivers like that. And then he's able to undercut throws well relative to his heightened peers. I will say that much. And he's able to swat passes away in man coverage pretty consistently. Some of his weaknesses, though, it's a little slender. Needs to beef up a little bit, needs to get some muscle, needs to get, as my dad would say when I was younger, needs to get some meat on those bones.
Right.
Needs to do that to be physical against these receivers that are able to, throw you off the line and able to get inside or outside leverage on you. So then another knock on him, not very good in the run support, and he struggles against off coverage route breaks. So, if he's in zone coverage, he, tends to misdiagnose the route break and, where the receiver's going, whether inside or outside. Good comp for him. Another guy that's on the Steelers, another depth corner, Darius Rush.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too familiar with his work, but moving on down the line here, DJ James out of Auburn, 17th ranked at the position, 119th overall, received a draft grade of 69.
Oh,
very nice.
Very nice.
I always got to throw a guy in there that got a draft grade of 69. That's not why I picked this guy, but it's it's a nice little ancillary benefit. I'll just say that.
We hope he has great success. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. We wish him well. I'm not an enemy of Auburn by any means. I always root for them in the Iron Bowl. I'll just say that much.
Yep.
Yes. But anyway, DJ James weighing in at 175, stands at 6 feet tall. Actually got a pretty good draft prospect grade for his draft spot, 6.3. Not too bad. Ran a 4.42 40 with a 1.5 second split on that. So some of his strengths, he's able to match routes and especially the short routes, the digs, the outs. He's able to match those very well, and he's able to close with his short area speed on those. And he's good from in the slot and outside in zone and man. So again, type of a plug and play guy. And he's able to mirror receivers even in his back pedal, which is very key. He's able to mirror their footwork and, able to keep up with him very well relative to his draft spot. A couple knocks on him, though. Again, needs to beef up a little bit. That seems to be a problem with a couple of these other guys. And just as well tends to struggle against more physical and taller receivers. Another guy that you could compare to Devin Witherspoon. A lot of Devin Witherspoons in this draft, apparently. That's just kind of how it is. Slender guys that you can kind of plug and play, but aren't very physical. Okay. And I always got to look at Oregon corners because those tend to be hyper athletic guys coming out of that particular school. This one, Kyrie Jackson, 20th ranked at his position, 144th overall, received a draft grade of 63. And here's a taller guy for you, 6'4", 194. Received a prospect grade of a 6.15, so could be better. Some room for improvement there for sure. Ran a 4.5 40, 36 and a half inches on the vertical, 11 feet 1 on the broad jump, and then a 1.5 10-second split. So similar to Cam Hart and Elijah Jones from earlier. Very good with his size, and he's very good physically. Shows a lot of aggression and run support and his tackling. He just needs to develop the consistency, and he lacks the ideal closing speed that you want in a corner. I don't know why I said clothing. Like I said, I'm talking a lot. I can't say words. Okay, not used to talking this much.
Yeah,
but good comp for this guy, Julius Brents from the Indianapolis Colts. Another one of those depth corners that you can just kind of plug and play. But is better on the boundary and a little bit more physical. I'm gonna take a few more swigs of this Miller Lite here in a second, but let's see how many I have to talk about. I'm gonna cover these next three guys in depth, and then I will just mention a couple of guys because there's one of them here that's from a school, very small school, Virginia State, that you don't really see a whole lot of in NFL draft boards. And there's potential that particular person could go undrafted, but, he's projecting as a late day 3 type of pick. So anyway, moving down the line here, DeAndre Prince out of Ole Miss. I got a firsthand look at this guy when Penn State played Ole Miss. I forget exactly what bowl it was, but I know Ole Miss kicked our asses in that bowl game. I will just say that much. And I will only say that much about that bowl game. But anyway, DeAndre Prince, 145th ranked overall, got a draft grade of 63, stands at 6'0", 183. Got a prospect grade of 5.86, so a little bit on the lower end, more of a fringe type of a player. Could struggle to stay on a roster if things go awry. Ran a 4.38 40, 34 and a half inches on the vertical, and then 10 feet 5 inches on the broad jump, 1.47 10-second split there. And this guy, he's more of a run support type of a guy rather than your ideal cover corner, although he did deal with a lot of adversity coming out of school, so he knows how to power through that. Unfortunately, lost a cousin and a friend, both in car accidents, very close together. So dealt with a lot of that while he was at school and still pushed through as a D1 athlete and as a decent day 3 draft prospect. So props to him for that. Very good at the catch point, and he's very good with his gather and plant footwork. Some of his weaknesses, though, he doesn't crowd receivers too much at the onset of the route, needs to get on receivers a little bit earlier in the progression. And he plays with hesitation when he's playing on deep routes, doesn't really know how to judge necessarily what's going to happen on vertical type of routes. Then a good comparison to him, guy by the name of Oliaja Griffin, formerly a Bill, another depth type of a corner who is now a free agent. Yeah, I'll talk about this guy, then I'll talk about Jarvis Brownlee, and then I'll talk about a few other guys, and then I'll be done. I know this was a long one, but there's a lot of corners in this year's draft, man.
Yeah.
Tarheeb Still out of Maryland, 23rd ranked at the position, 160th overall, and then received a draft grade of 60, stands at 6 feet tall, 189, so pretty similar frame to DeAndre Prince. got a 5.92 prospect grade, ran a 4.52 40, 38 inches on the vertical, 10 feet on the broad jump, and then a 1.59 10-second split on the 40 time. Another plug-and-play type of a guy, plays inside and outside pretty adeptly relative to his position in the draft. Equally adept at man and zone coverage and processes high-low routes very well. Reliable hands for his draft position relative to his peers. Unfortunately, lacks ideal size and length to play outside consistently. More of a slot guy, more of a nickel guy. So that's just kind of how it is for him. Good player comp for him. Nick Jones of the Chiefs. Another Chiefs comp, which I like. Then another guy I got a firsthand look at just because of Louisville's defense in that begrudging 4-game stretch for the Irish where they played all-night games against top 25 teams. This was one of them. And I saw this guy firsthand, guy by the name of Jarvis Brownlee Jr. out of Louisville. Out of that vaunted Louisville defense from this past year. No less. 25th ranked at his position, 170th overall. Received a draft grade of 58, stands at 5'10", 194, and got a prospect grade of a 6.13. So relative to his spot in the draft, that's a pretty good prospect grade. He could develop into, a good rotational guy in the league someday. So in the offseason, he really worked on his ball skills and his frame, worked on developing the muscle a little bit while still maintaining that same agility that he showed at Louisville. And this is another one that I don't see too much in corners. He's got this two-hand punch move in shucking guys that is in which he's able to, and I'm quoting the NFL here, bully receivers off the line of scrimmage if he's able to hit it. It's a bit of a boom bust type of a move, but when he hits it, he's able to knock you off the line of scrimmage, knock you off your route, and throw the whole timing off of everything. At least he did that at the D1 collegiate level. Whether that'll translate to the pro game, we'll see. It's a very rudimentary type of move that I don't know how well it'll work at the NFL level, but we will see. Mm-hmm. Just as well, he was very consistent in 2023, much more so than his previous couple years at Louisville. Unfortunately, though, seemingly all too common with a lot of these guys, not able to guard deep routes very consistently, and he shows signs of not being able to do that at the NFL level. Just as well, his spacing on the high-low routes, not very good. And then he struggles when he's playing off-man coverage, doesn't have tremendous closing speed. I keep saying clothing speed. I don't even know what that would be in relation to. Maybe the speed at which your washer washes your clothes, but that's I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about closing speed.
Yes.
Closing speed. Mm-hmm. And he did get a pretty good comp here, too. Asante Samuel Jr., guy from the Chargers.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah. You're throwing around Asante Samuel Jr. in relation to a potential 7th rounder, 6th or 7th rounder. That ain't bad.
Could be a sleeper. Could be a sleeper.
Could be a sleeper. He's in all likelihood a day 3 guy. I did say 6th or 7th round. Might not go that late, but there's potential he could fall. And if the right team picks him up, could prove to be greater than his draft position. I'll just say that much. A few other guys on the board. Johnny Dixon out of Penn State only got a prospect grade of 5.91. And he needs to work on the fundamentals of being a corner, essentially. He's very physical, a very good rally the troops type of a guy. But needs to work on developing an NFL skill set, especially with the ball skills and being able to cover deep routes, much like these other prospects. And another guy by the name of Willie Drew out of Virginia State. And yes, you heard me correctly, Virginia State. Mm-hmm. I don't know if they're D1. I don't know if they're D2. Whatever they are, they got a guy named Willie Drew that's coming out in the draft and could go, in all likelihood, day 3. If not, he might go undrafted. But still, you get a guy out of Virginia State on a draft board. I figured I'd talk about it for a quick second. But anyway, only received a prospect grade of 6, so very low ceiling type of a guy, but showed a lot of good production, was a volume guy in college, But is similar to a lot of these other guys, can be overtaken by very speedy receivers and very physical receivers. So those polarizing type of receivers, he's not going to be able to cover those very consistently. Then bit of a hometown guy here, or at least relatively close to me, Beanie Bishop out of West Virginia. Let's see what he was ranked at his spot. It's 36th and 257 on the draft board. So this, in all likelihood, he's going to go undrafted. And similar to the other guys on this board, struggles against wide receivers with size and struggles in man coverage as well. But good volume production, which is why he's showing up on some draft boards late in the 7th round.
Trevor, real quick. Very cool. And this is sometimes I go, this is what happens. Okay. So I type in Virginia State University. This is what happens to me.
Yes.
And then I go down this fucking rabbit hole. And it ends up being 3:00 in the morning. And I said, what the fuck? But anyways, Whale and 2
Where'd the
Chainz.
time go? Yeah.
2 Chainz and Whale, the rappers, are notable alumni from Virginia State. Who the hell would have known?
Oh, what do you know? All right, do you know if they're D1, D2? Do you know?
Here, let me look up division here.
I
would have to say very small school, 5,000 students, including. Let's see here though. They're Division 2.
I was going to say, I think that's smaller than Wake Forest. Wow. Oh,
yeah, Division 2 school here.
Division 2.
Yeah.
Wow. So got a Division 2 prospect that could come out. That's yeah. I like it. Yeah.
Them and Kentucky State are arch rivals. It's very interesting. Okay. Never would have known. But noble thing here, just to give Trevor a break there. Great analysis. He's been covering all types of different positions all the last month, really. Next week, Trevor, what position? Before I give you a break here, are we?
Oh yeah, no problem. You just caught me mid-swig, that's all. Going to the opposite side of the cornerbacks, we got wide receivers.
Fuck yeah. All right. Big week next
and
week.
Trust me, there's a lot of those available. You thought I was long-winded this week. I might take up the whole show next week. We'll see.
That's all right. One notable guy that's been some people love, some people hate, controversy, non-controversial, what have you. Bears fans ripping their hair out because they don't want him to be their quarterback. Caleb Williams will be probably the number 1 pick of the NFL draft. But when they asked Coach Matt Eberflus, got his name right.
Yes.
Matt.
hey, can I get some props for not screwing up a name this week too?
You did.
That seems to be a recurring theme with me. I think I might have screwed up a player comp, but I did not screw up a name this week. There was no I tend to screw up, and this is not out of spite or anything like that. Just a coincidence. The Hawaiians, the Samoans, with those a lot of vowels in the names. Yeah.
But
anyway,
Matt,
you were saying,
Coach Eberflus goes, everybody's all excited about number 1. He's most excited about number 9. Where they're going to go with the number 9 pick. I guess in I don't want to make you talk a lot. I think they need to get some weapon on the offensive side of the ball. But just a real quick answer, Trevor. Where do you think they need to get?
Where do I think the Bears need to get other than quarterback? Ooh, I mean, they have their wide receiver 1. They still got DJ Moore. Got a decent tight end in Cole Kmet. Now got a new running back. I believe Aaron Jones signed with them, correct? Who signed with them? That was big. That running. I thought it was Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones signed with the Vikings. My bad.
Was it Swift? Shit. Let me look here.
Swift. It was Swift. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. So they got the running back. They got their number 1 wide receiver. They could use some depth at that spot. I think they need to go O-line.
Okay.
I think they need to go O-line. They need to be able to protect Williams.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw it with Fields. The guy was running for his life.
Yeah.
Yes, he had a lot of production, but how much of that production was him running for his life because the pocket collapsed?
Right.
So
Right.
number 9, I don't think you need to move either. There's a lot of I've covered it on this show over the last several weeks. There's a lot of highly touted prospects at the center spot and at the tackle spot and at the guard spot. So go get one of them. Beef up your offensive line, for the love of God.
Right. Hold on here. AS wide receiver, a big need. I don't know if Pickens is the guy.
Oh, for Steelers.
Yeah. Well,
In a run-heavy offense, though, and I know I've beaten that dead horse several times over the last several weeks, but
right. I'll tell you right now, I've all and Weiss, one of the guys I know from the card game that's been commenting on here. I'm all in on Pickens right now, Trevor.
yeah,
Kenny.
well, I mean, you have to be.
I think Pickens is the guy. He just can't lose his fucking head. Okay, because we've had a very bad. Can't put him in the. Okay, I know who that is. Never mind. We're just gonna ignore the comments, Trevor. Right? I know who's. We're just gonna.
Fair enough.
Now I know. But anyways, no. I think the Steelers really need to get. I think offensive lineman. I think we came to that conclusion, right? Or are we?
Yeah. Ideally, offensive line, or if one of these corners is available at 20, you take one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
No.
A little stuffy. Excuse me. There we go. I think I'm okay.
And then the other big news too, and we talked about a little bit before the show. This guy at the time was getting comparisons to Big Ben. All types of had the world by the ass for the Eagles. Carson Wentz, how his career has just went to another place. Now he signs a 1-year deal with the backing up Patrick Mahomes. How do you ever see him getting back out on the field, or is he just going to be a
no?
Okay,
no, he's going to hold a clipboard. He's going to hold a clipboard and turn into the Chase Daniels of the world, or.
right.
Can hold a clipboard for a living, make a good bit of money, get his pension, make millions of dollars, and ride off into the sunset, knowing that he had one glorious season.
Yeah.
And is a Super Bowl champion. Let's not forget that.
Right.
Even though Foles was the starter in the Super Bowl, Wentz was on the team, and he got a ring.
I guess to really dissect it, demise was injuries, or would you say?
Yeah.
Okay. But at times it
couldn't
felt
stay
like
healthy. Couldn't stay healthy. Well, you get guys. RG3 same way. ACL injury early in his career derailed things. Same thing with Carson Wentz. That's why I'm always skeptical of guys coming back from long-term ACL injuries. You never know how they're going to be affected.
No.
And we saw how RG3 was affected his mobility, had to become more of a pocket passer, which wasn't nearly his game. Same thing with Wentz. He was a better pocket passer than RG3, but he still relied on his mobility for a good amount of his production. Getting outside of the pocket, making throws on the run, and even, getting first downs when he really needed to via the run game. So that ACL injury just threw off his whole game. Not to mention Nick Foles steps in and takes all the glory.
And then I'm just seeing shit popping up here too, real quick. I think we need to touch on Nyheim Hines involved in a jet ski accident as well. I didn't even have that on my radar.
Is that breaking?
Not breaking. That happened. That was earlier today. Didn't even know that fucking happened. I don't know why. I have my alerts on NFL News now, and I'm not. He suffered a torn ACL.
Oh, really?
I didn't realize that. Yep. Wow. Okay. Well, good luck to you there, man.
Yeah. Wow. That's that ain't good.
Okay. And then after
it ain't good at all. Yeah, I didn't even know that happened.
That was like, okay. So wait, sorry.
Okay.
Just to dissect it, that happened last July. He got in this accident. Never knew that. That's why he was on injury reserve for Buffalo, and now he's signed the deal with the Browns. The issue is now people are skeptical of his offseason, what the hell he's going to do in the offseason with his free time. I don't think a guy after almost losing it all, Trevor's going to go back on a fucking jet ski or some dangerous decision. He's not going to go skydiving. You know what I mean? Like, this is what the media is, man. It drives me nuts. You know,
They love to stir it. They love to stir it.
Because you confused me because you're coming out about an article about something that happened last July. And I'm thinking it just happened now. I
was going to say it's a little bit early for jet ski season.
That's what I'm.
That depends where you live, I guess. If you're in Florida, it's always jet ski season, I guess.
Yeah, whatever. I'm just trying to make sure that we're covering all our crossing our T's and dotting our I's here. Yeah, that's really it. And then I guess the final question. I think you have more stuff too, but I guess.
Yeah. Just what's more likely. A little NBA talk.
At this point, where we stand, because I haven't actually publicly asked you this, and I don't think you've been on PlayStation. Sure. Who will be the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Russell Wilson.
Okay. How many games until, let's say he has poor play, how many games do you see it will take for Fields to take the role?
Define poor.
Kenny Pickett level.
Oh. I don't think it's going to be pretty tough to be that bad.
I guess how he started off last year.
He was still somewhat efficient. Well, right. He was, in terms of his touchdown interception ratio at Denver, he took care of the ball at least. That's all he really needs to do with the Steelers. As long as he's able to translate his last year in Denver to his upcoming year, this upcoming year, his first year with the Steelers, I don't see why he's not going to have success. But yeah, let's say he does have Kenny Pickett levels of success. 10 games.
Okay.
That's off the top of the dome initial reaction, 10 games.
Okay.
Although we'll see how much political influence he's going to have in that locker room and in that building. Hopefully not much, because as I've stated on this program before, Tomlin runs that building. I know who's signing the checks, but I know who's taking the receipts, and that's Mike Tomlin.
Yep. Yeah, no, and we've talked at length of that. And then just another little thing that actually, this just did get posted right before the episode. Derrick Henry says signing with the Cowboys would have been a perfect situation, but Jerry Jones never picked up the phone and even fucking called him. So Cowgirl fans out there, don't look for the boys to give you any sympathy. It is a dumpster fire down there in Dallas.
I should have come on here with the cowboy hat and the sunglasses. People like that. And I should have just trashed the Cowboys the whole segment that I was doing the draft picks. But what the hell does all in mean? What the hell does all in mean when your most notable move in that frenzy of free agency in that first few days was re-signing your long snapper?
Yeah.
You restructured Dak, sure. What else did you do? Right. You didn't do jack shit.
Right.
You're going all in. You're going all in on running it back. You're not even running it back because you released Pollard.
Right. And the other thing too, if you just look at the moves, I think one of the most
and not to mention too, Van Der Esch retired. He lost a couple other key defensive pieces. You're running it back with less than what you had before, and you expect different results. What's the definition of insanity, Drew Billy? You know it?
Doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result.
What have the Cowboys done for the last 30 years?
Insanity.
Well,
so if you look at the timeline, Van Der Esch goes down with a freak injury. Probably one of the best.
Yeah, very, very unfortunate neck injury. One of the more consistent linebackers. I would say in NFL, modern NFL history, and definitely in Cowboys history.
Right.
Unfortunately, his career was.
Right. And I don't know if there was any interest in from Patrick Queen, but the Steelers end up getting Patrick Queen, which he would have been a very good fucking throw-in role there for Van Der Esch. Then you released Pollard.
Yep.
Was basically the sidekick to Ezekiel Elliott. Then you kick Zeke out, and he was with the Patriots. I don't know what the hell's going on with him now.
They're not to interrupt you too many times here, but there is rumors that Zeke wants a reunion in Dallas as well. For what that's worth. I guess he took a year off, hated it in New England, and now wants to come back home to Mr. Jones.
And I don't like saying this about any athlete. He's damaged goods, Trevor.
He's 31, I think. So
you had a stellar career. I will say that about
you. Did
you
torched the Steelers a couple times too.
But you just your body can only take so much. I mean, we saw it with Jerome Bettis. I mean, he literally got the shit beat out of him. Couldn't even wipe his own ass. They had a bedroom downstairs for him because he couldn't go up the stairs after game day. You know what I mean? So I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But here's the biggest thing that drives me nuts, and I have not seen any news coverage touch on this. Jerry Jones was so in on getting Trey Lance during the season. I believe this happened during the season, right? They brought Trey Lance over.
Yeah, the actual news came out after the fact, after the season even, but yeah.
Yeah. So
during the season, he wanted Trey Lance.
I think you got to kind of look at Jerry Jones as a fan of the Cowboys and say, this is who he's really focused on is getting this Trey Lance guy that pretty much was a first round bust and hasn't done shit except sign the long snapper, which long snapper is a very important position. But there's key players like Derrick Henry that was open to the idea, but you didn't even fucking call him. But I love it. I don't feel bad.
I even said that's where he was going to go, Drew. I said that's where Derrick Henry was going to go. He was going to go to one of the teams that I hated. In all likelihood, he was going to Dallas. He ended up going to the Ratbirds.
Yep.
And now we got to deal with him twice a year for the next however many years he's signed for. I think he's only on maybe he's on a 2 or 3 year deal. I can't exactly remember off the top of my head, but
right. And we got
I'm still trying to figure out what does all in mean. And apparently it means something that is beyond my comprehension. I mean, granted, I'm not, no one's ever accused me of having the biggest brain in the world. I know that. But
right.
I know football from a fan's perspective and from somewhat of an analytical perspective. And I've definitely played poker and gone all in and lost. By all in, what do? Push all your chips into the middle. You spend all your money in hopes of a return. Right?
Yep.
What money has Jerry Jones spent this offseason? Not much. Are you going to re-signing the long snapper for the equivalent of a vet's min?
It's just, and I guess
I don't know why I'm complaining about it. I've trashed the Cowboys several times on this program, and I will continue to do so. And I just noticed something too. You still have the Dinsy's draft picks on the Chiron. I'm long done with that, but I've been done with that for about 25 minutes.
We went right into this, and I got.
No, I know. Yeah, we got sidetracked. To use your words, we got to tighten it up. We got to tighten it up, but we got to tighten it up. But it's all right. I literally noticed it as I was talking, and I was like, maybe we should take that down. We're not talking about draft picks anymore. But I don't know why I'm complaining about this. I enjoy trashing the Cowboys. It just frustrates me that I had this expectation that they were going to build themselves up so much, and then we were going to see the exact same result pan out next year. And now they're just asking for the same exact result.
Right. And they plan to host 30 prospects this week from the NFL draft. So I guess maybe I don't even know where they're at on the draft board. My bad. Trevor.
It's a good question, actually. Let me see where they are. I have it up right here.
Oh, okay.
24th in the first round. Right before the Packers.
It's just interesting.
I love it.
it's we'll see. I mean, there's still going to be good talent there. I mean, we talked about it. It's
Oh,
a
for sure.
stacked draft, but I don't know. And also, I want to know one more thing, and I should be looking all this
Sure,
shit up.
yeah.
before I talk. What is there? Okay, well, I mean, they do only have 4.5 available cap space as of March 25th. So I don't know if that went up at all. Have the 30th
Is
most.
that?
Oh yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh,
finish your thought. Then I have a question.
Yeah, they have the 30th most salary cap space in the NFL as of March 25th. So how I guess.
So is that after the adjustment, like after the cap went up, that they have that much of space left?
You know, now I'm seeing fucking different things. Move, freeze up.
Well, are you looking at Spot Track?
I'm looking at Sharp Football.
Oh yeah, they're good too. Sharp Football Analytics. Yep.
Yeah, analytics.
I frequent that website. Yep.
That's what they have here, but then I'm seeing different things here going on that they made some restructuring with Zach Martin, that also the right guard that freed up $13 million in cap space for 2024. Which then now it's saying which puts Dallas under $255.4 million salary cap ahead of the start of the free agency next Wednesday, and that was March 8th that was posted. So I guess that doesn't really. Seeing those numbers, what the fuck are you doing, Jared? Like,
I don't know.
That just pissed me off even more.
Doing, I don't know.
Hey, listen, boys, we're going all in this off season. We're going to make.
You muted yourself, damn it. What are you
said
doing?
He's going to go all in this off season, Trevor. I got so pissed off I just unplugged my mic. You say you're going to go in all in this off season. You haven't done shit. I don't want to feel the pain that I felt this past season. Okay. You got the hoochies up there, Jerry? Is that what's going on?
Sell the team then, Jerry. If you don't want the pain, sell the team. He's going to die with that team, though. That's just how it's
going. Shit.
What are you doing? Hey, will you tighten it up over there? What are you doing? Live technical difficulties right here on Buckle Up with the Boys. You got to love it. I'm going to take a swig of beer while you're trying to figure that out. That was needed.
Trevor, can you hear me now or no?
Yes.
No?
Yes. Yes. I hear you. You can't hear me. Oh, boy. True.
What is going on?
I can hear you. Unplug your... You can't hear me. Are you muted? Oh, God. Just what we need, dead air.
Oh, boy. Ah, boy. I don't know what happened here. But you can hear me.
I can hear you. Just unplug it. Live internet. Gotta love it. Any luck now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh, dear Jesus. Any luck now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Oh, my God. Trevor, we good?
Are we?
Hear you.
You don't have your computer muted, do you?
Apologize, folks. God. What? I don't know.
You don't know.
God damn it. All right. We'll just. I don't know what to do here. Hold on.
You still can't hear me. Just unplug the.
Apologize. First time. God damn it. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I've always been able to hear you.
Let me see if I try. All right, you say something. Let me see if I can.
Check 1 2. Hello. Earth to Drew Billy. Is it StreamYard's problem? What the hell's going on here?
Damn it.
I love the hat, by the way. Just tap it in.
Well, I think we might have to call it. Trevor. All right. Shit. All right. I apologize, folks. Technical difficulties. I don't know what the hell just happened here. God damn it. Shit. All right. Have a good night. Have a good day. God bless. I apologize. We'll be back. We got to get this figured out here. Technical difficulties. I don't know what the hell happened here. Shit. All right. We'll be better next week. All right. All gas, no brakes. This is Buckle Up with the Boys. Shit.